YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back, heading into week 6 of the NFL season. I got score predictions for every single game. If you're looking for our weekly picks with the other guys at the Goat House, we had to push that back to Wednesday night, so that is tonight. So unusual, but score predictions coming first, so you kind of get spoilers at my picks at least. But there's a game in here, maybe a couple that I've kind of been back and forth on here, so some of these could go either way, could change my mind. I'm curious to see what the other guys think on their picks. But you guys are voting for your picks on Twitter. You're also in a fan picks league. You joined through Twitter. So check out that Twitter. A lot of updates on there. We got all kinds of content. We got playoff predictions updated. We got power rankings. We got trade deadline content as well. More to come. So check it out. Join us. Like, subscribe, turn notifications on. Be much, much appreciated. Here's our Twitter fan voted picks on here somewhere, but we got a lot of updates. Buccaneers ruling some players out, and then we jump into the Buccaneers game. It's a tough one to predict because how many Buccaneers guys are out? Rob Gronkowski's out. Antoine Winfield, that's a big one there. Levante David, we kind of knew about, but that's also a big one. Tom Brady, he's a little, he's not 100%. We don't think he did play through the hand. It was a thumb injury last week, but. It sounded like it's bothering him a little bit. You expect it. He's getting up there in age, but they might be blowing it up a little more than what it is because he played through it last week, and I still think even with those guys out, they'll put some points up on the board. I don't know if I fully trust the Eagles here. They're coming off a pretty good win last week. They're home on Thursday night, prime time here, but they don't really do on offense. When you're playing the Buccaneers, the Buccaneers are going to score some points. Do the Eagles do anything particularly well at a high level to keep up with the Buccaneers? Hurts can run. The Buccaneers are very good stopping the run. But in terms of the running game, they don't want to feed their running backs a whole lot. They don't really present. They're going to have to throw against the Buccaneers beat up secondary. They're going to have to throw. I don't really trust them a whole bunch in this game. But with the Buccaneers being beat up, but again, the Eagles are beat up as well. Who knows? But I'm going to go 30-20 as the Buccaneers are favored by a touchdown. But it's a tricky one. Such a short week, for the Buccaneers. Again, both teams are beat up, but such a short week for the Buccaneers having kind of new injuries in there. It could be tough. I still think that, with Brady and those weapons still, and they find a way to move the ball and score where the Eagles aren't able to keep up there. But Hurts is going to have a good game throwing the ball. He's going to have to. It's a big game for him to do that. We'll see. Dolphins, Jags, this is one I'm really back and forth on. I'm going Jags. I'm going upset here. This is in London. Jaguars seem to have success in London, but it's a whole different team than what we've seen in the past. They're underdogs by 3.5 points. I'm just feeling the Jags in this one. The Dolphins should get better with Tua Tagovailoa coming back, but just coming back off injury, got to go to London. And, that's tough. Behind this offensive line, some injuries at the receiver position as well. That's tough, but it is the Jaguars' defense. Thinking of the Dolphins still in on Deshaun Watson. This is you must have a good game if you're Tua Tagovailoa, and it's tough. I know it's not the toughest defense. You should be able to have some success there, but coming off that injury, my problem is the Dolphins' defense. It's very hard to predict the Dolphins' defense because they're a playmaking defense. They can create turnovers, and they very well could do that on the Jags, who turn the ball over. Trevor Lawrence, capable of turning the ball over. Does feel like he's getting better though. So if the Dolphins win, I'm going to assume it's because they had a couple takeaways on Trevor Lawrence, and that's very, very possible. But the Dolphins are struggling defensively right now, and the Jaguars' running game is getting better and better. That read option is very tough to defend because, obviously, for obvious reasons, you don't know if Lawrence is getting the ball or if James Robinson's getting the ball. All it takes is one mess up and then a correct read on the offensive side, and you got big yards. James Robinson's running very well. And on top of that, the Dolphins really struggle to stop the run. So I'm thinking the Jaguars run a lot of clock and are pretty successful with the Robinson/Lawrence runs. But it looks like you can pass on the Dolphins right now as well. Lawrence is getting better. He's got to take care of the ball. Take care of the ball in this one. But again, the Jaguars' defense isn't anything special at all. It's definitely towards the bottom of the NFL. So the Dolphins, they should have some success. Will they here? That's the question. I'm going to take the Jaguars. I went with the underdog last week in London. That did not work out. I thought that was a bit more bold than this one. I think the Jags should have some good execution running the ball there. So I'm going to go with them. Squeaker 24-23. It's one I kind of been back and forth on in my mind, but it's really on the Dolphins offense, executing, and the defense playing better than it has been playing and getting those takeaways, which they do kind of rely on. That's, but they can make it happen. Packers, Bears. I'm going to go with Packers. I actually got a low scoring one here. They're favored by 4.5. I got them winning by 6. Bears are tough to predict too because we really don't know how they are in the passing game right now. They haven't really had to pass a whole bunch. But that was kind of the good thing against the Raiders. They just kind of pounded the football and let that, that just worked. They dominated that game. I don't see them being able to do the same thing, back-to-back weeks here against the Packers. You can run on the Packers. It seems like they're tightening up a little bit in terms of stopping the run. But they're going to have to throw the ball, and they very well could. It's just they very well can. It's just kind of a mystery right now. Packers actually been doing a little bit better job getting pressure on the quarterback too. They're going to have to get pressure on Justin Fields, keep him inside the pocket, and then, get after him there. But yeah, the Packers injured at corner, so we'll see if the Bears can take advantage. I love the way the Bears defense is playing. Packers offense, they're going to move the ball, but can they execute in the red zone? The Bengals were stopping in the red zone, even though the Packers were moving the ball down the field. The Bears kind of been doing that to teams as well. Like, it seems like teams been able to move the midfield, and all of a sudden the defense just makes these big plays, nearing red zone or in the red zone. So that's why I have a low-scoring game here, defensive game, and the Bears holding the Packers a little bit. That, also being in Chicago kind of helps them, but can they score enough here? I don't know if they'll have to score a whole bunch, as you see by my prediction, but it should be an interesting one. I think the Bears definitely are capable of winning this game. The last couple of years it's been, not close. The Packers have been taking advantage of them. But, this one should be somewhat tight. I'm thinking low scoring. Next game, we got Bengals and Lions. I like the Bengals. I got them winning 26-20. I guess the worry is with Burrow. Is he 100%? Sounds like he's fine. How much will that play a part in this game? Lions have been close to pretty much all their games, so they probably can keep this one close. I like the matchup for the Bengals, though. I don't think the Bengals are going to blow them out or anything. I think they're going to kind of keep a steady lead in this game. They should be able to throw on the Lions. I would expect along the sideline Jamar Chase to have some success. Boyd over the middle of the field should have that as well. I think there'll be some times where maybe the Bengals kind of stop themselves, so the Lions clutch up in the red zone. We saw that last week as well, so maybe more field goals for the Bengals. But I think they'll be able to move the ball. Bengals defense been playing pretty well as well, so I don't think the Lions will score enough points. But 26-20 is what I got. I'm thinking it's maybe some good red zone defense, solid red zone defense, similar to both teams' games last week. So I'll take the Bengals. I really like the matchup. I guess it depends how close to 100% is Joe Burrow. That could play a part. Lions are very close to squeaking out some of these games, and they just can't do it. It's only a matter of time until they do it. They're getting pretty damn beat up, though. They're getting pretty damn beat up as we go on here, which most teams are. But I'll take the Bengals there. They're only favored by 3.5. So Vegas is thinking this could be maybe a little bit of a trap game here. It's almost been a trap game for everybody that's played the Lions. Like I said, it's been pretty close. Texans and Colts. I got the Colts 24-20. Texans looked pretty good last week. They just couldn't pull it off. Colts play some pretty good defense, tight defense, where they could cause problems for the Texans offense, which has been inconsistent. But Colts are pretty beat up at the cornerback position, so Mills should, maybe he can continue where his success, throwing downfield, throwing along the sideline, perhaps. I think kind of be hot and cold. Colts going to have a few stops in a row, and Texans maybe a big play. I don't know. It's hard to predict the Colts offense to go completely off. I think they'll have some success here and there, equally running and throwing, just nothing crazy. I think it'll look more like a winding clock, so therefore defensive game. So I got 24-20. Lions 9.5. The line, that's kind of a lot, but yeah, the Colts could be that defense that presents some problems because we saw a couple weeks ago the Bills held the Texans to nothing, and the Colts aren't as good as the Bills defense right now, but they run a pretty similar defense. But that game was also in a downpour, so maybe that's why the 9.5 is that, because they'll present some similar defensive problems that the Bills presented to the Texans. But I don't know. Davis Mills seems like he's playing okay here, maybe getting better. So I got the Colts here. Another must win for really both teams. But the Colts lose this one, it's looking like it's done for them here this year. Next up, Rams-Giants. I like the Rams 28-16. I guess a lot of the score depends. I'm going to pick the Rams either way, but the score really depends on who's in, who's out for the Giants. I'm still waiting to hear more on Daniel Jones, but we know of some of the guys. Barkley's going to be out. Kenny Galladay's going to be out. So that's pretty tough. I do think Kadarius Toney can have another pretty good day here. But I just don't see the Giants doing enough in this one. The Rams and the Giants still got a pretty decent defense here, but I like the Rams. I got them winning by 12. We'll know more, I guess, at who's at quarterback. I think I can trust Daniel Jones. Yeah, if Daniel Jones in there, and they get Toney going again, and maybe they can make this somewhat of a ball game here. But I do like the Rams. I got them scoring 28 in this one, beating them 28-16. Next, Chiefs, Washington football team, a shootout here. Chiefs defense is rough. I think Washington's offense has been pretty explosive here and there. I think they'll get some points up on the board. Using Gibson, using McKissick. McLaurin should have a good day. Heineke's kind of hit or miss. He kind of has that big wow play, or he'll turn the ball over. But going against the worst defense in football right now, I think he'll get going a bit here. He's got to take care of the ball. But Washington's defense has been struggling. Chiefs offense, I don't think they have any problems, but they are pretty beat up. You're going to miss their running back, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Still waiting to hear more on guys like Tyreek Hill there, who got his knee banged up a little bit as well. But I still think they'll score a good amount of. They can maybe, if they're fully healthy there. We know Edwards-Helaire's out, but if they got Tyreek Hill, they may score in the 40s here. So that's kind of depending on that. But I still like them in this game. It's just everybody should be able to move the ball with ease on that Chiefs defense. Could Washington come out and just pound the football, just pound it? And roll that clock, drain that clock, get on the board, and just put the Chiefs in an awkward situation. The Chiefs are, the way they are built right now, anybody has a chance on them because of that defense. I'm confident with them winning, but because of that defense, the way it's playing, almost anyone's got a chance here. But I got 35-30 Chiefs. Could be an interesting game. Next up, Vikings, Panthers. This is a tough one to pick. It's another one of those toss-up games. Panthers were favored. Now the Vikings are favored. I'm going to go with the Vikings here. And I evenly could argue both sides. Why the Vikings. Kirk Cousins makes you pay for the blitz. The Panthers blitz, we saw that wasn't really a factor against Dak. Kirk Cousins has been lights out against the blitz. So that'd be the reason to kind of feel the Vikings offense in this game. I think their playmakers can go to work since the Panthers corners are a little beat up right now. I think, going against Sam Darnold, who's kind of playing not as well last couple weeks, in the Vikings defense, who's playing better. They can make some plays there. The Panthers offensive line struggling. The Vikings pass rush duo has the most sacks in football between Daniel Hunter and Everson Griffin. And it's interesting because the Panthers have second most in terms of the duo, Son Reddick, Brian Burns. So those are all reasons for the Vikings. For the Panthers, even though the Vikings can beat the blitz, edge rush can make Cousins kind of have a bad day, and the Panthers are, they're pretty good at both, getting pressure both ways. Like I said, they got a pretty damn good duo, so they can get off the edge and get after Kirk Cousins there. And what was working for the Panthers earlier in the year was kind of just quick, small ball, run Darnold if you have to, just almost kind of dink and dunk in a way. Not really, maybe a little further, dink and dunks like 2-3 yards at a time, a little more than that. But I think that could kind of make the Vikings off defense look like more of what it was earlier in the year, because lately it's been playing a lot better. So I could actually see Darnold having a pretty good game. But if he tries to get the ball downfield, that's kind of where the mistakes I think will happen there. So I'm going to try, I'm going to trust Kirk Cousins over Darnold, but this is a game that can really go either way. 2-star running backs that have been out. We'll see if they come back. Dalvin Cook, Christian McCaffrey, that could be a factor. These two played a really good game last year, too, so I expect it to be close. Every Vikings game is super tight. It comes down to last second. I'm assuming we're going to see that again. But I'm going to go Vikings here. It's in Carolina, which makes it tough. I can argue both sides. You got the home team, Carolina, but then I think Kirk Cousins is a good amount better than Sam Darnold here. And it's hard to trust Darnold with the way he's been playing. So, but I could see him having stepping up again, going that quick game. But I'm going to take the Vikings by 3 here. It should be a tight one. Chargers, Ravens, another great one. I was surprised Ravens are favored by 3. I'm not surprised maybe that they're favored by 3. I took the Chargers by 3, but I can argue both sides here again. The Chargers are really struggling to stop the run. And here are the Ravens, a dominant running team. Lamar Jackson's he's a problem for opposing teams, a big-time problem. So the Ravens will have they'll have a lot of success running the ball in this game. And could that make it more of a lower-scoring game? All that clock coming off. The Browns presented that run problem, and it still ended up being a high-scoring game here. But this is a very tough offense that the Ravens will play. Similar to the Chiefs, which the Ravens beat, but they did give up some points. Ravens defense has been struggling a little bit, tackling and then, in coverage as well. And it's due to injuries, but I think they'll have their hands full with Herbert, and they make that extra play in the passing game. I think both teams could have success on the ground, a little more the Ravens. But, yeah, Herbert's just been balling. I think, Lamar passed very well. He threw the ball very, very well last week. The Chargers can make plays back there. We'll see if they'll create a turnover. But I like the Chargers by 3. It's a toss-up game because, again, the Ravens can just control this game on the ground. It's very, very possible, so I could argue both teams here. Next, Cardinals-Browns. This is the game. This is the hardest game to pick for me all season long. I've actually changed my mind a couple times. Originally, I saw this matchup. I'm thinking Browns. Why? Because I like to play the matchup. The Browns can run the crap out of the football and control the game. And the Cardinals actually been struggling to stop the run, unless it's kind of short yardage or goal line or red zone. They're actually pretty damn good at. But the Browns can rip off runs on first and second down, get big runs. So it's kind of just Browns because of that matchup. And it's hard to stay undefeated for the Cardinals. It's going to be harder and harder, obviously. But then I'm thinking, when I see the Browns in their secondary, they're pretty damn beat up. And I could change my mind again depending on who plays, who doesn't back there in the Browns secondary. And even on the defensive line. They're pretty beat up. And I was thinking, the Cardinals might, and the Browns been winning games because just pass rushing, getting after the quarterback. Now, Kyler Murray's a different problem, a different task there to stop. So he can just escape those sacks that other quarterbacks haven't been escaping, make plays on the ground. And kind of like the Chargers did, throw on the Browns, get the ball downfield and make big plays. So I was thinking, the Cardinals might win because of that, because the Browns haven't really seen that. And then I hear Rodney Hudson, the center's out, the Cardinals, and Chandler Jones is going to be out, their pass rusher. So Cardinals been pretty damn healthy too. So now we're going to see what they're like, missing some key guys, kind of like a lot of these other teams. So that kind of made me think. And the Browns, the Browns are beat up, but the Browns, we know their running backs are healthy. We know their offensive line, even if it's beat up, should be pretty solid still, especially with no Chandler Jones on the other side. They're going to come out. They're going to pound the absolute crap out of football. They're going to try to keep Kyler Murray in that offense on the sideline for as much time as possible, kind of like the Niners did. Cardinals still pulled it off, though, but the Browns are a different animal. So I'm kind of leaning towards the Browns, but if Ward is out, if one of Newsome or Greedy Williams is out, which is possible all of them are out. We just saw Clowney out last week. If all these guys are out, or a chunk of them, I think Denzel Ward's a big one. I can switch back, because even if the Browns keep, and I think they will, I think they'll succeed on keeping Kyler Murray, limited possessions, keep him on the sideline. But even if so, he can just hit you with the big play. That offense can hit you with the big play just like that, especially with the Browns defense out. So I don't change my mind either. I am stubborn to change my mind. I was originally picking Browns. I switched to the Cardinals. I switched back to the Browns. I can easily do it again. So we'll see what I pick them later tonight with the other guys. I very well could change my mind again. The Browns are favored by 3. I have them winning by 3. It's not a game I would touch. I think it's going to be close either way. I'm excited for it. It's so tough to stay on the field. See if the Cardinals can continue to do it. It's going to be a ridiculous game. I can't wait for that one. Raiders-Broncos, an extremely tough one to pick. It really just comes down to two things here. It really comes down to the not trusting the Raiders in this situation. I don't think I can argue both sides. Gruden's out of there. That's really not good. I don't think, for the chemistry and what they've built there for the Raiders. Maybe some players are down. Maybe some players weren't happy with them though, so I can argue the other side. But we got a new play caller. Everyone knows Gruden. Everyone knows his play calling. Everyone knows his system. He's been around forever. New play caller in there, who's Greg Olson, not the former tight end. Could that be just throwing teams off here? Like, what do we expect? It's going to be something similar, though, at the end of the day. So I can argue both sides in that perspective. But why I'm going Broncos at the end of the day in a toss-up game, it helps that they're home, but that's not why. The Raiders it's hard to pick them right now. A bit messy. They also have not been playing good football. Maybe this little fire underneath them. Another reason it's not only a very similar matchup to the Bears, it's almost the same matchup. The Broncos want to pound the football, and the Raiders were struggling to stop that. Maybe they'll tighten up. Maybe they don't have to worry about Fields getting outside, so they can tighten up on the inside. But Teddy can move as well. They're going to pound that football. with some better running backs. I think Melvin Gordon, Javonte Williams might be better than Damian Williams and Khalil Herbert, who looked outstanding last week. And then look at the defense. It's Vic Fangio coming from the Bears. It's the same 3-4 defense. It's the same defense, and they presented problems to the Raiders offense last week. So there's more reasons for me to pick the Broncos here. I think a lot of clock will be coming off in this game. Maybe the Raiders get back on track, some explosive plays downfield. They missed out on some opportunities they very well could have made last week, so maybe they kind of hit those opportunities. But I'm going to take the Broncos, tight one. It's a must-win for both teams. Both teams started 3-0, and one of them is going to, unless it ties, but one of them is going to end up dropping 3 straight. This is big. This is big for kind of a wild card spot where we're thinking right now from the, coming from the AFC West. It's a huge game. Maybe a little, you can argue both sides, but maybe because the Raiders, you got to get themselves out of the messiest situation in football, maybe, so you got to win. But I think the Broncos got to take advantage of having this home game against the Raiders. It's a must-win situation for both teams here. Broncos are actually favored by 3.5, not one I would touch there if you're a betting man or woman. Cowboys-Patriots, line is interesting in this game. Only 3.5, which, maybe Vegas is thinking it's a trap game. It could be. Maybe Belichick's got something. Maybe this defense has a game plan. It's so hard to game plan for the Cowboys, though. I keep talking about it. Like, what do you game? You got a game plan for everybody. You can't predict what they're throwing at you because they'll even if you predict it, they'll beat you with the run or the pass. They'll beat you with both at the same time. So I'm gonna take the Cowboys, and maybe they slow down the Cowboys a little bit. The Patriots defense, that is, and that's 27 points. Still a lot of points there. The Cowboys just got too much. Can the Patriots? Patriots get some things going as we go along. I think they'll kind of break out at some point, getting more explosive plays on offense. And we could see a little bit of that in this game, but can they keep up with the Cowboys? That line makes it look like a trap game, so I guess I'd watch out. But things are pointing towards the Cowboys. They were pretty close to the Giants before the Giants got beat up last week, and maybe the Patriots present some similar things there defensively. So interesting game, I guess, but I'm feeling the Cowboys there. Next Sunday night, that's a tough one too. It's going to be Geno Smith versus Big Ben Roethlisberger here. So Steelers kind of catch a break, don't have to see Russell Wilson on Sunday night, so that, they definitely catch a break there. Geno Smith, he looked pretty good when he came in against the Rams, and what if you don't know what to expect? We've been used to the Russell Wilson Seahawks for so long. I think it'll be pretty similar. I think it's going to be tight, though. The Steelers should be able to throw the ball downfield, take advantage of the Seahawks, weak in the cornerback department. I think the Seahawks will blitz a bit in this game. That could be a factor here and there. I think somewhat of a low-scoring, pretty low-scoring 21-20. The Steelers should be able to pull it off. It's really a must-win for the Steelers. Going to lose this game, it's not going to feel good there. But they're favored by 5. I don't know if they win by that amount, but if they, again, almost everybody should be able to have success on the outside, throwing the ball against Seattle Seahawks defense. The 49ers didn't, though. But if the Steelers do find that and get in a groove and their defense kind of plays like the Steelers defense that we know against Geno Smith, then I can see the +5 making sense, or the -5 for them making sense there. But Geno Smith could be a little sneaky, but it's Sunday night in Pittsburgh. It'll be a tough place to play. Even though a 1-point game, I think the Steelers will kind of have control, kind of Seahawks kind of staying with them there. Monday night should be a good one. Bills, Titans in Tennessee. We saw them play on Tuesday night last year, and the Titans beat them pretty good. That was one of Josh Allen's worst games last year, probably his worst game actually. And I'll tell you why. They threw some trap coverages at him. Actually, they made it look like they fooled Josh Allen. He thought they were in man coverage most of the time, and they were actually in cover 2. And he had kind of a poor game. I do think it was, if I remember, it was a sloppy game. There was some rain, so maybe that played a factor as well. The Bills are playing too good of football to pick against them, but the Titans could be a little sneaky because of that. I don't think anybody gets in the 30s. I think a little less scoring maybe than what people think. I don't really know what people think, but I'm thinking in terms of. I'm thinking some people probably think it would be a shootout, but the way the defense of the Bills are playing, and maybe the Titans can present some unique looks. They do some unique things on defense, even though it's not overly a great defense. To maybe slow down the Bills a little bit. I still got them scoring 27. I'll take the Bills by 4. Titans. Maybe relying on Derrick Henry a little too much, but if the Titans got Julio and A.J. Brown both on the field, it's a little different look than what the film will show the last couple weeks. And the Bills, still they've been playing great. A defense, obviously, looking like the best in football this year, but if you have a two-headed monster at receiver, maybe one of them has a pretty good day. One that's doesn't have Tre'Davious White on them. So maybe that'll be the key for the Titans. They've been allowing more pressure than normal. Tannehill hasn't particularly been that good under pressure. He's kind of sitting in one spot. So if he gets outside the pocket and both those receivers play, maybe, that's what the Titans need to do in this game. They need both receivers, both top two receivers. Tannehill needs to get outside the pocket, but they need to start the game with this. They need to come out with the ball and just throwing, because the Bills defense can be expecting Derrick Henry to stop them. And if you succeed and you get down the field, throwing the ball and you're scoring points, you get a lead, you got the Bills all jacked up. Or it doesn't even have to be the Bills, but in this case it is the Bills. Because then you got them thinking, we got to stop the pass now, open things up for Derrick Henry. So that would be the key for the Titans. We'll see if they present some problems to Josh Allen like last year on the defensive side of things, but it's extremely tough to pick against the Bills right now. Another primetime game. I mean, this is huge for the Bills. They could come away with this win because they just had back-to-back away primetime games. If they win another game here, which a lot of us expect, it's absolutely huge for them. And the Titans will play the Chiefs next week. Actually, the Bills just played last week. But I'll take the Bills. It could be it's hard to call a trap game because we do view the Titans as a pretty good team, but it could be somewhat of a trap game here for the Bills. Should be a fun Monday night. It's not on Tuesday night in the slop like last year. We'll see what the weather's like actually, but I'll take the Bills. It should be, I think, one of those games where it's going to be like, Titans score rapidly, the Bills score rapidly. Oh my God, it's going to be a shootout. It's going to be an offensive game. And then all of a sudden it just kind of stops. And then back to kind of just scoring right away. I think it kind of could be that a little bit, some clock running. So we'll see. But, hey, if the Titans keep Tannehill protected or if he handles pressure a little better, they definitely can get back on track to being that elite offense that they were. So we'll see. Definitely excited about that primetime game. Another one there. That's going to be it for my score predictions for Week 6. We got some buys, so less games. That's unfortunate, but yeah, weekly picks got pushed back to Wednesday night this week, so that's coming tonight. Maybe you're listening to this on a Thursday or Friday, Saturday, whatever it may be. Then all that is already up on the channel. We updated our playoff predictions. We got trade deadline video up there. All kinds of NFL action here, so join us, like, subscribe, turn notifications on, check out those videos. Be much appreciated. It's going to do it for this one, though. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.